That sounds good to me. I think everybody could use a few more sources of inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea for this segment is partially because of the fact, and we've written about this a number of times, and I talk about this with both Brett and Hillary. We've had to find ways to completely change how we test cameras, lenses, lights, and everything else because of the pandemic. Um, Here in my neighborhood, I'm in Woodside, New York. Our COVID positivity rates are pretty high. They're not the worst out there, but I'm pretty cautious. So I'm not going out there like our standard for testers in New York for a while was New York has 5 boroughs.
Hmm.
Staten Island, which we joke belongs to Jersey, the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn. I used to live in Brooklyn, now I live in Queens. Our standard is you're supposed to take your camera or your lens and you're supposed to test it in 3 boroughs and
Hmm.
with 3 different genres. 3 different genres is something that we apply to everything though. So that's really hard to do right now.
Hmm.
You go outside, people aren't wearing masks, or if they are, you don't want them getting too close to you. Crime is up, so you don't want people getting too close to your very expensive camera and lens. So you have to figure out ways to be very careful and thrifty and more creative. So I started this a little while ago when I was using the Leica SL2, which is actually behind me, along with some Sigma lenses. I'm being recorded right now with a Panasonic S5 and a Sigma 35mm f2, the brand new one that was announced last month.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, it wasn't announced this month because this month is not even 2 weeks yet. So yeah,
Right.
Um, it was announced last month. Testing it out, it seems to be working great. So this is one way to test. But then there are other ways. Stuff that I've been doing is documenting like mundane tasks in my life, like getting up, making coffee for myself. So I'd put the camera on the lens on a tripod. I'd set time lapse. I'd say like take 25 shots every
Hmm.
2 seconds. Sometimes I'll play around and I'll be like, let's go long exposure. So you see like the motion dragging out. And I'll
Sure.
do the same thing with cooking. And I've done self portraiture. The Leica 75mm f2, which is behind me, phenomenal lens, wonderful in so many ways. Um, but I've had to find ways to go about testing things more creatively. And I thought to myself, we interview all of these photographers. We've been doing it
Hmm.
for 11 years. We just turned 11, by the way,
Woo!
to us. Um, so I was like, let me go through, let me see what these photographers have done. And I've made
Hmm.
them into storyboards. If you're not following us on Flipboard, a lot of you do find us through Flipboard. You'll probably see our storyboards. We publish usually 2 of them a day, and I usually put them together myself. It's usually based on like how I'm feeling some mornings. Like, um, let me share screens with you really quickly
Sure.
so we go through this. Um, Share screen. I can do this. Where is it? Microsoft Edge. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. So, this is our Flipboard. Well, at least the interface that I can see. And these are storyboards that we do. They're usually a curation of certain stories that we've done, and a lot of these have given me more inspiration and ideas for what to do during the pandemic. So, for example, we did one, this one we published today, how these photographers made scenes using what's available at home. I butchered what was sitting on the screen just now, but yes. So, for example, this photographer, Navid Barate, I think that's it, right? Yes.
Yep.
Um, the way he did this is basically just what you see in the title. He created these scenes by putting food on a photo scanner.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, you're not using your camera, but like it's pretty cool what you can do. He created sort of like astrophotography using a photo scanner.
Yeah, that is mind blowing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So it's like these photographers are finding ways to do more while at home using what's available. This photographer, created these landscapes in a fish tank,
Oh
which
my
was really
goodness.
cool.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And here's the setup of how he did it.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, some people have floodlights at home, so it's like you find ways to do what you can with what's around you. And sometimes you get like these really cool surreal type looks, but
Hmm.
it's fun. And these people are having fun and they're being creative and they're not limiting themselves to just capturing. They're fully creating.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is a story. Let me find one by Dan. This was probably one of Dan's favorites from last year.
I remember this one.
Yeah, like Toy Story stuff,
That's
basically.
brilliant.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm thinking about like some GTA stuff with some Kermit the Frog I've seen recently. But like he's finding ways to create more with toys and just like have fun with scenes. And I think that's fantastic. And not
Hmm.
enough people do this. This is just creating a mundane scene. Like just imagine stormtroopers like barbecuing, you know?
Absolutely. What a
Yeah.
fantastic way to use a macro lens. That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, let's see what he used. Canon 5D Mark III, 135 millimeter f2. Where's his macro? He actually didn't have a proper
Not even
macro.
a macro on there. That's even crazier.
Yeah, yeah, and he did it with all just LED lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have I think I have the Torch 2.0, and you have the Pro or the Studio. Which one do you have?
I have the studio. It's what I'm using right now, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, let's go through a couple others. So Star Wars, right? Star Wars is big amongst so many people.
Hmm.
So if you have
Yes.
Star Wars toys, you can just have so much fun with them. And I think that creating projects like this is something that we're going to need to do to the point where it might need to become something like, I don't know, dare I say a 365 project?
Hmm.
Or
Yeah, a
like,
scene a day or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, or like, what's that one where it's like one a week? I forgot what it's called.
I can't remember. I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah, but like, I mean, you could spend a week like coming up with the concept
hmm
and then you work with it. This was so cool. I think Joy worked on this one. This one was one of my favorites. Like
oh
it's a
wow.
single photo, but
Yeah.
it's so awesome. And we have a lot of these tutorials on our Flipboard. You can just go ahead and check them out right there. This was kind of cool. I worked on this years ago. I'm trying to remember what year I worked on it. 2016.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
So basically, this guy just took toys, put them in scenes, and then photographed these scenes.
Just brilliant. I mean, they're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and they're fun, like
Yeah.
someone's having fun. I think when you're having fun, like you're bound to create better images.
Oh, I completely agree. Anytime what we do, whatever we do, whenever it starts to feel like work, that's when it becomes an issue.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you again. Um, oh, this is something that's actually really fun. Have you ever shot Pinhole, Brett?
I haven't.
Oh man, it's so fun. I used to do it with that Fuji peel apart film,
Uh huh.
but I've also done it with Instax film because you can get like a lomography Diana, and
Right.
then there's a pinhole setting on there, and there's an Instax back, and then you shoot the image, and then because it's Instax mini, you can have either black and white or color. So I usually
Gotcha.
just did like color black and white stuff because I
Mm-hmm.
hated looking at the color stuff, but it was so fun. And you can do that with a beer can. This is a little bit more complicated, mind you, because like
Mm-hmm.
you have to have like a little piece of film, you got to put it in a beer can, you got to put it at the right spot, you got to poke a hole in the beer can, you got
Right.
to tape up the hole, then you got to put it in the right spot, and then you got to leave it there, and then you got to check on it. uh I've interviewed people where they check on it monthly, some people do weekly.
Mm-hmm.
um but pinholes can be super fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I mean, like, this isn't something to keep you occupied for a while, but it's something, well, it will keep you occupied for a year, but it's not going to keep you like fully 100% focused on the thing.
can you hear me, Chris? I can't hear you, buddy.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Cool. So sorry about that, folks. Let's go back into Microsoft Edge. And yeah, so I was talking about solarography, which is basically like pinholes, but you find ways to really track like the sun after a while. So this isn't really going to uh, occupy all your time, but it's a nice thing to do over a period of time and see what you can get. Um, this was really fun. So this guy got googly eyes and just decided to photograph things and just had fun. So like, get creative with whatever you can find around the apartment or the house or whatever. I think that at times like these, you sort of have to just like revert back to what came when you were younger and just be more playful and fun. I think that's very important. Let's see what else. I know you folks can still see my screen. Uh, Playing with a ring light. A lot of people have ring lights at home for selfie reasons, or sometimes you actually have like a ring light flash. These can be very fun. And you can do this at home, just like mess around, literally just like think about whatever. It doesn't matter. Don't be embarrassed about it. Just, you're home. What are you going to be embarrassed about? You're going to look back on these images like 10 years from now and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I was in pandemic losing my mind. What was I going to do? I was just going to sit there and do something. Let's look at others.
I am back. Good
Oh,
sir.
wonderful. Can you hear me?
I can. I can.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. Um, I was just talking about a whole bunch of other options, basically. So now, this was something that I decided that I'd create because I think I created this one of the days earlier on this year when people were having a lot of anxiety because of what was going on in the world.
Hmm.
Um, so I decided I would go into our back end, type in anxiety, and luckily, like our SEO was that good, so I was able to find so much where people were talking about how they were dealing with anxiety. Adrienne, I interviewed recently, or we featured her rather recently, and
Hmm.
had some back and forth emails with her because she also lives in New York. I feel like we knew each other in the same circles. She does a lot of this without Photoshop, and she also does a lot of this with multiple exposures in camera,
Gotcha.
which is really fun. And I think that people can find a way. Pretty much every camera system has multiple exposures. The only ones that don't are Leica and Sony. Sony used to have it, and if you have an older Sony body that still has the what's it called? Oh geez, the A7R3, no, A7, Play Memory Store.
Yeah. There
If
you
you have
go.
the Play Memories app, that'll work. I'm gonna switch my mic back. Oh wait, I'm still in the Yeti. You still hear me fine, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, I need water. Agua, very good. Anyway, um, so people were actually no, not people. I'm sorry. Adrienne was creating basically these images. Some of it's about channeling her own anxiety and talking
Hmm.
about some mental issues that she's gone through and abuse and all that stuff. And she find ways to creatively express herself. And I think that people need to do that more. You need to find a way to uh, connotate images or scenes with the way you would feel.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Some of those images we were just looking at are pretty powerful. Just they speak volumes to the time that we're living in right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go through. Oh, this isn't a long series, but Jonathan Higby, before he became like a very famous street photographer, he was
Hmm.
a conceptual photographer. Um, and I interviewed him about this very short series. I'm trying to remember how I found it. I think it was Reddit, but basically he did this all in camera. And pretty easy to do. You just get like bloody footprints on the floor. You get
Yep.
a fake hand, you put it in there, you get some light, you get this going, and it really totally shows off anxiety. Um, there was another image. There was this one as
That
well
one's
too.
Really good.
Yeah. So he was being super creative, and there are just so many different ways that you can do that. It's just you need to figure out a way to look at what people are doing, figure out how they're expressing themselves, and maybe sort of adapt it to yourself. Dan did this interview before. We've interviewed Marin a couple times. This was about her being very anxious about what's going on with her kids and
Hmm.
them being sick. Um and this series she did at home.
These are fantastic too.
Yeah, but
Oh
you
my
know,
goodness.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's set design and it's you just being simple and putting stuff together and using your imagination and in this case, like who cares if you're doing things with Photoshop or not, but like you can find ways to do the get the results.
Oh, definitely. As long as you get, like I say, as long as you get to the end result, that's all that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. This one I decided I put together because there are still people that like to take early morning photo walks. And I'd probably encourage those. For a little while, I was getting up at like 4 a.m. and I was going out and I was testing lenses or cameras or something like that because
Hmm.
no one was around.
Right.
Um, so these are ways that you can go ahead and do that. Like, let me see. Let me pull up one specific one. Dan Sackham. Yeah, this guy. He was the director on True Detective, that show.
Hmm.
So he just finds ways to like go around and just like photograph random things early in the morning. And of course, you can see other psychopaths are up that early, but not too many.
Oh, I love that one. That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are ways that you can go ahead and you can, keep your sanity in the pandemic and keep being creative. Um, let's go to the next one. This one was yes. This is the one I was going to really bring up. Your 365 project. For those of you that are newer to photography and don't really know what that is, a 365 project is really something where you take one photo per day with the intention of trying to get better and better each and every time. So you start out really low, but then you go really high at the end. Um, and we have a couple of former staffers that have done it before. Travis Lawton, I think, actually did one of my favorite ones. He's a former staffer over here.
Hmm.
And I forgot what he was exactly doing because this was 2013.
Wow.
Wow.
Good few years ago now.
Yeah, exactly. Almost 10.
Yeah.
Um, I interviewed him about this after we parted ways, but this was still a really awesome series because he was going around. I think he was doing it all with his iPhone.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and he was trying to find a way to get better with the limitation
Hmm.
of just the iPhone. And he did a great job. The thing about the iPhone is you really have to find a way to really use post production because the camera itself isn't really the best.
Right.
Now they've gotten a lot better.
Especially not in 2013.
Exactly. Now they've gotten a lot better. So there's a lot more that you can do with these. Travis and I actually still talk every now and again on Facebook. Hope he sees this because this was awesome.
Hmm.
What else? This was a street photography project in London. I would not recommend street photography right now.
No, not at all.
Um, this was probably one of my favorites. I'm trying to remember if I interviewed Sarah. Sarah did this surreal portrait photography project, 365, one photo a day, and she was just finding ways to express herself. And they were really cool. Like she would get these random props. Like she would go on like Amazon or like thrift stores, and she would just like get all these random props and just like play with them.
It's just amazing. Just you can use literally anything to create, and I admire people who are able to go out and do stuff like this. I really do, because, and as you can see, you can create some brilliant images just from really nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you'll end
Properly.
up seeing is you usually get into like these certain trends where you keep doing one thing and then a variation of that. That's fine.
Oh,
That's totally
absolutely.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah. Excuse me. This was fun.
that's brilliant. I love that one.
Yeah. This, I was just like, how did you do this? She probably actually got like wax on her arm though.
Yeah, yeah.
if you're a guy and you're fuzzy, as I'm called, you wouldn't want to do that necessarily. um Bill Wadman is a photographer we've interviewed a couple times. Portraits on the Corner, I think he did this as a 365 project. uh I'm very positive it was, because I remember when he was doing this, he was basically trying to get anyone and everyone, bring them over to his apartment, shoot them in the corner in different ideas. And I think
Gotcha.
like the next week he would give them their images or something like that. But it kept him busy, and it kept him working with all these different ideas and finding ways to really bring out people's personalities.
Well, that's a great challenge for a photographer too, is learning how to deal with all of those personalities too.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Yep.
Um, and a lot of it's usually about listening, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man, I put that one in twice. Whatever. Um, yeah. So that is. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen because it's right around time anyway. That is what we really recommend people do. Try to find a way to do a project indoors, and I mean, figure out something that's really close to you and see how that evolves over time. You can do one photo a week. You can do one photo a day. But whatever you're gonna do, commit to it. Like my best friend, for example, did like a 365 project, and I remember hanging out with him. He would be like, crap, I haven't taken my photo for the day. And he would
Hmm.
go ahead and he would like try to figure out a way to like take that photo. And at the end of it, he thought about making a book for himself, and he didn't do it, but he is considering doing another 365 project. Yeah, man, that's what I'm gonna say. Do projects now. I think that's really the best way for you to keep yourself creatively going at this point.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, don't be afraid to experiment. If it's something you've never done before, just go, climb out the box and do it. These aren't images you necessarily have to share with anyone. They can be just for you. And just like Chris was saying with his friend, you could make your own photography book just for you, but keep the older creative cogs ticking over in the brain there.
Yeah, absolutely. There are no comments on you on oh man, I was about to say YouTube. No, on Zoom. Let me see Facebook. No, there's some reactions, but no one commenting. Okay, cool. Um you want to move on? You want to
Yeah,
talk about
sure.
tech?